Joining me right now with more is the chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee. He is Congressman Jason Smith. Congressman, thanks very much for being here. Mr. Chairman, it is wonderful to have you. How much does China's surveillance balloon change the conversation on spending cuts when it comes to the military?
You know, our reckless spending under Joe Biden, just think about it. In his first 2 years, record spending. He added more than $10 trillion of new spending to help reward environmentalist donors and just various items. What we have to do is address this inflation crisis, the debt crisis, and now we have this spying crisis, as we've seen. So we got to get our economic house in order. And the first thing we have to do, Joe Biden, Chuck Schumer, they have to come to the table. They have to continue to negotiate with Speaker McCarthy for the American people, because this reckless spending is what's costing every American to pay more to put food on their table, clothes on their backs, and gasoline in their cars. That's why we have to address this.
Well, Congressman, how will you address it? The Speaker, Kevin McCarthy, has said that he'd like to see spending levels go back to 2022 levels, but wouldn't that mean a $75 billion cut in defense spending?
Absolutely not. There's numerous ways to still actually increase defense spending and decrease the non-defense discretionary. Just think about this. We're talking about fiscal year 22 numbers being what was just over a month ago. Our spending just a month ago, and every Republican, almost every Republican in the House of Representatives voted against that $1.7 trillion package. So what Speaker McCarthy's asking is to just go back to fiscal year 22 numbers. We can cut $100 billion of unobligated COVID money. There is so much waste out there, Maria. We don't have to look at defense. But you know what? We do need to look at everything, though, because there could be some waste in defense. We need to make sure that the funding in defense is actually going towards our military and our soldiers.
Well, they're talking about woke transgenderism in the military. I want to get your take on that when we come back. I'm talking with the chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee, Congressman Jason Smith, this morning, and we'll be right back with more. Welcome back, and I am back with the chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee, Congressman Jason Smith. And Congressman, I want to get your take on this balloon, on the new provocations from China and what that means for the House Ways and Means Committee. Are you going to be looking at our relationship with China? I also would like to know about tomorrow. You have your first hearing on the House Ways and Means Committee. What is the priority in that hearing?
You know, we're excited about our first hearing tomorrow. It's going to be in Petersburg, West Virginia, and it's the first hearing of the Ways and Means Committee and the Republican majority, because we want to hear from everyday West Virginians of what they are facing in the current economy and how we can listen to their ideas, their solutions, and to come up with their priorities instead of listening to the lobbyists and the folks in Washington, D.C. In regards to China, Maria, we need to look at all of our trade agreement, our trade negotiations and our agreements with them. They're clearly not a friend. They're not an ally. And we need to make sure that we help bring back our strategic supply chains to the United States, away from China. And if they can't come to the United States, we need to bring them to our allies. And the Ways and Means Committee is going to be very aggressive towards that.
Well, this is an issue that we've been talking about for a long time. Why are we reliant on things that are used for the military, like semiconductor chips or pharmaceutical products that they threatened us during the COVID-19 disaster that they would not send to America, like prescription drugs, the underlying components made in China?
When it comes to our defense, when it comes to our energy, when it comes to our food and our medical, we have to make sure that we are secured in this country and we are not reliant on countries like China and Russia. Unfortunately, we are in a lot of cases, and I don't know if it's because a lot of these large corporations have shed their American identity and they become beholden to China. But in the Ways and Means Committee, we're going to get down to the details and we're going to do our best to try to fix it.
Congressman, this has been a really tough 2 years, from COVID-19 to the botched Afghanistan withdrawal to inflation at 40-year highs. To what do you attribute this terrible 2 years for America?
It's very poor leadership. Democrats controlled the White House, the House, and the Senate the last 2 years. You saw an inflation crisis, a border crisis, a spying crisis, an energy crisis. Anything they touch or they push, it has created a crisis. Thank goodness the American people delivered a House Republican majority back in November.
And I'm wondering if partly it's this compromised story that we will continue putting a spotlight on. Congressman, thank you so much. Mr. Chairman, Jason Smith.